The night sky has always been a stage, but few spectacles stir the soul quite like the sudden, silent transformation of the moon. Imagine it, a pale, silver disk that has guided sailors, lovers, and poets for millennia, slowly swallowed by shadow until it glows with an otherworldly crimson. No thunder, no roar, no warning, only a quiet metamorphosis. The familiar companion of our nights becomes something strange, something alien, as if the cosmos itself were trying to send us a message. For ancient eyes, this was not just astronomy, it was omen. The blood-red moon haunted the chronicles of Mesopotamia, frightened the armies of Alexander, and echoed through religious texts as a harbinger of change or catastrophe. To those who gazed upward without modern knowledge, it was as if the very order of the heavens had been disrupted, as though the gods themselves had stained the sky with blood. And yet, here we are today, standing on the other side of history, armed with physics, mathematics, and telescopes that pierce the fabric of space. We know the moon is not bleeding, nor is it vanishing. Instead, we explain with elegant certainty, it is Earth's shadow, stretching into space, refracting the light of our atmosphere, painting the moon red. The terror of the past dissolves into comprehension. But is comprehension enough? When we name the mechanics of the eclipse, have we really captured its meaning? Or have we traded mystery for formula, awe for explanation? Science offers the how, but the why lingers like a shadow of its own. Why does the moon appear so perfectly staged for this drama? Why does a simple play of light and geometry evoke such visceral emotion, even in an age of satellites and particle accelerators? The blood moon stands as a paradox, fully understood, yet never fully explained. A celestial riddle that has walked with humanity from superstition to science, and still invites us to look up in silence, struck by something beyond calculation. So tonight, as the moon burns crimson in the darkness, we ask a question older than astronomy itself. Why does the moon sometimes turn red, and what does that reveal about our place in the cosmos? To understand the blood-red moon, we must first step back and watch the cosmos as if it were a grand clockwork. 3 celestial bodies, sun, earth, and moon, engaged in an endless dance. The sun, a blazing sphere of nuclear fire, the earth, a small blue marble bathed in its light, and the moon, a silent satellite bound by gravity's invisible tether. Ordinarily, this alignment produces nothing more dramatic than night and day, waxing and waning phases. But on rare occasions the geometry locks into perfection, and something extraordinary occurs. An eclipse. At the heart of it lies shadow. When Earth positions itself directly between the sun and the moon, it casts a vast shadow stretching nearly 1,000,000 kilometers into space. Within that shadow exist 2 regions, the penumbra, where sunlight is only partially blocked, and the umbra, the realm of total darkness. When the moon passes through these zones, we witness different types of eclipses. A penumbral eclipse is subtle, almost ghost-like. The moon dims slightly as though brushed by smoke, often unnoticed unless you know precisely where to look. A partial eclipse is more dramatic, part of the moon bitten away as if a cosmic predator had taken a great bite out of its glowing surface. And then there is the crown jewel, the total lunar eclipse when the moon sinks fully into Earth's umbra. Here, instead of vanishing, it burns red, illuminated by the refracted rays of every sunrise and sunset on Earth, wrapped around our planet's curve and projected outward. From a purely mechanical perspective, the explanation is straightforward. Orbital paths, inclinations, and alignments, geometry written into the sky. Yet the very simplicity of this math belies the profound rarity of the event. The Moon's orbit is tilted by about 5 degrees relative to Earth's path around the Sun. Most months, the shadow misses. The Moon sails slightly above or below. Only when the nodes, the points where orbits intersect, align with the full moon, does the cosmic choreography click into place. It is this razor-thin precision that makes eclipses so rare and so breathtaking. Shadows and light, angles and orbits, abstract lines on a diagram brought to life in the sky. The predictable elegance of celestial mechanics stands in stark contrast to the visceral experience of watching the moon vanish and return, glowing like a coal in the heavens. Some may say the wonder fades once we chart the angles, measure the distances, predict the cycles. But perhaps the opposite is true. For what could be more astonishing than a universe where mathematics and beauty converge so perfectly? The eclipse is not a breakdown of cosmic order, it is its ultimate expression. And yet, geometry explains only the structure, not the spectacle. To grasp why the moon turns that haunting red, we must descend deeper into the physics of light itself. When the moon sinks into Earth's shadow, one might expect it to vanish into darkness. And yet, instead of disappearing, it ignites with an eerie glow. Deep crimson, copper, or burnt orange, suspended in the black sky like a glowing ember. To the poet, this is the moon's transformation into blood, a cosmic wound across the heavens. To the physicist, however, this spectacle is not an omen, but an inevitable consequence of light itself. The secret lies in our planet's atmosphere. Sunlight is not a single color, but a spectrum, a symphony of wavelengths from violet to red. As these waves stream toward Earth, they encounter the thick veil of gases and particles that wrap our world. Here begins a process known as Rayleigh scattering, a subtle interaction that determines the very colors of our sky. Shorter wavelengths, such as violet and blue, are scattered in all directions by the molecules of nitrogen and oxygen. This scattering paints the daytime sky in shades of blue, while the longer wavelengths, deep reds and oranges, pass through more directly. Now imagine Earth from space during a lunar eclipse. The sun is hidden behind our planet, but a halo of refracted light bends through the atmosphere, filtering around the edges. In this bending, the blues and violets are stripped away, scattered into the void. What survives the journey through miles of atmospheric haze are the fiery reds, stretched and softened, projected outward into the darkness. And there, waiting in Earth's shadow, is the moon, catching this ghostly glow like a cosmic canvas. Thus, the blood moon is nothing more and nothing less than the sum of every sunset and sunrise on Earth, wrapped in a ring of light and cast across the heavens. Each eclipse, in a sense, gathers the fiery edge of the world and splashes it across our lunar companion. And yet, in this explanation, a contrast emerges. Science describes the scattering angles, the refractive indices, the absorption spectra with exquisite precision. But when we stand beneath the night sky and watch the moon turn red, it does not feel like mathematics. It feels like mystery. The clinical beauty of physics does not erase the poetry. It deepens it. Knowing that the color comes from the filtered breath of our own atmosphere only makes the vision more intimate, as though the Earth itself were whispering across the void. So the moon turns red not because it bleeds, but because we do, because our world, with all its air and water and dust, bends the sunlight and stains the shadow. The science is complete, but the experience remains haunting, fragile, and strangely personal. And yet, the question lingers. Why does the universe align in such a way that this spectacle is even possible? For that, we must look beyond physics into the uncanny coincidences of cosmic geometry. Among the countless wonders of the cosmos, one coincidence stands out with almost theatrical precision. The sun is about 400 times larger than the moon, yet it is also about 400 times farther away. This delicate ratio makes the two celestial bodies appear almost exactly the same size in our sky. Without it, eclipses as we know them would not exist. The sun would either dwarf the moon completely, or the moon would fail to cover its brilliance at all. Instead, we witness perfect alignments, the moon sliding across the sun in solar eclipses, or entering Earth's shadow in lunar ones, as if staged for our eyes alone. Is this mere accident, a fleeting trick of perspective in a universe indifferent to beauty? After all, the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth. Millions of years from now, this symmetry will dissolve, and eclipses will never look the same. Yet some argue this cosmic coincidence is a reminder of the anthropic principle, that the universe appears tuned in ways that allow observers like us to marvel at it. Chance or design, the alignment speaks to something profound, that even in a cold universe of physics, beauty finds a way. Long before physics and orbital mechanics, eclipses were written into the fabric of myth. To the Mesopotamians, a blood moon was a dire omen, a warning that the king's fate hung in the balance. They performed rituals to shield their rulers from the wrath of heaven, fearing that shadows in the sky foretold shadows on earth. In China, ancient texts describe dragons devouring the moon, and communities would beat drums and clash cymbals to scare the monster away. Yet not all cultures saw only terror. The Maya, with their extraordinary grasp of astronomy, recognized eclipses as part of a cosmic pattern. They inscribed cycles on stone, predicting events centuries into the future with uncanny precision. To them, eclipses were not chaos but order, moments when the gears of the universe revealed themselves. This contrast between fear and knowledge tells a story of human evolution. Eclipses, once viewed as supernatural intrusions, became tools of power and prophecy for those who could predict them. From terror to calculation, from ritual to reason, humanity's relationship with the blood moon mirrored its journey from myth into science. Yet the awe remained, untouched by explanation. For ancient observers, eclipses seemed like random intrusions, chaotic shadows cast without warning. But hidden within this apparent disorder lies one of the most elegant rhythms in the sky, the Saros cycle. Spanning roughly 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours, this cycle links eclipses across generations. An eclipse seen today will echo nearly 2 decades later, almost identical in geometry, as if the heavens were turning through a vast, repeating pattern. This discovery transformed terror into foresight. Babylonian astronomers charted the Saros centuries before modern science, using it to predict when the moon would again fall into Earth's shadow. What once seemed like divine intervention revealed itself as celestial precision, a dance of orbits so exact that it repeats with clockwork regularity. Here lies the contrast. To the unknowing eye, eclipses are chaos, omens of disruption. To the mathematician, they are inevitabilities written in orbital law. The Saros cycle whispers that the universe is not capricious but ordered, a grand mechanism ticking in silence above us. And yet, even knowing the dates, the geometry, the patterns, does not erase the wonder. Predictability does not diminish awe. It frames it within the elegance of cosmic time. Even as science revealed the mechanics of eclipses, their symbolism refused to fade. In ancient scriptures, the blood moon often appeared as a divine warning. The sun darkened, the moon turned to blood, and the world trembled at the thought of judgment. These passages, echoed in the Hebrew Bible and Christian texts, carried forward a sense that eclipses were not simply natural events, but messages woven into the sky. In modern times, echoes of this symbolism still resonate. The so-called blood moon prophecies of recent decades linked sequences of eclipses to apocalyptic predictions, stirring fascination and fear alike. Despite centuries of astronomy, many still saw the red moon as more than physics, an omen of endings and beginnings. Here lies the enduring tension. Science explains the scattering of light, the orbital alignments, the cycles of repetition. Yet myth endures, because explanation alone cannot satisfy the human hunger for meaning. The blood moon remains a canvas, painted by both photons and imagination. Thus, the eclipse straddles 2 worlds, the world of measurement, where it is geometry and light, and the world of myth, where it is prophecy and story. Between them, humanity still seeks significance in the shadow. When the moon turns red, We are not only watching the heavens, we are watching ourselves. The eclipse is born from Earth's shadow, shaped by our atmosphere, painted by the very light of our sunsets. In gazing upward, we are, in a sense, gazing back at a reflection of our own world, and yet the experience transcends mechanics. To stand beneath a blood moon is to feel something stir within, a strange mixture of awe, insignificance, and belonging. The sky seems altered, and with it, our sense of place. Some describe a quiet unease, others a deep serenity, as if the universe were momentarily pulling back the veil to remind us of our fragility. Here lies the paradox. The eclipse is an external phenomenon, governed by geometry and physics, yet its impact unfolds within the theater of consciousness. The moon does not change us. We change in its presence. Science explains the shadow, but not the silence that falls across a crowd as the moon glows red. That silence belongs to us, to the mystery of perception itself. The eclipse becomes a mirror of our fears, our hopes, our longing to find meaning written in the stars. The moon, in all its grandeur, seems the very symbol of permanence. It hangs above us night after night, immune to our attention. And yet, in the strange world of quantum physics, permanence is never guaranteed. At the smallest scales, particles exist as probabilities, waves of possibility that collapse into reality only when measured, only when observed. Einstein once asked, "Does the moon exist only when I look at it?" A question meant as critique, but one that lingers with unsettling weight. The eclipse becomes a fitting metaphor. The moon is always there, yet what we see depends entirely on perspective. From one angle, it is bright silver, from another, swallowed in shadow, from yet another, glowing red with refracted fire. The moon itself does not change, our vantage point does. This mirrors the tension between classical mechanics and quantum uncertainty. In Newton's universe, the moon's orbit is absolute, its presence undeniable. But in the quantum view, even reality bends around the observer. Perhaps what the eclipse reminds us is not just the predictability of celestial geometry, but the fragility of perception itself. The cosmos is both objective and participatory, a shadow play shaped by where and how we choose to look. A lunar eclipse is never the moon's performance alone. It is a collaboration. Earth casting the shadow, the atmosphere bending and coloring the light, the sun providing the energy, and we, the observers, giving it meaning. Remove any one of these players, and the drama dissolves. From the physicist's eye, this is an objective interplay. Photons refracted, orbits aligned, shadows cast. But step back, and the picture widens. The eclipse is not a single object behaving in isolation. It is a cosmic stage where multiple forces converge. In this way, it echoes John Wheeler Ahe's notion of a participatory universe. Reality is not simply out there, but arises through interactions, through the meeting of cosmos and consciousness. The red moon, then, is less a solitary artifact than a symphony. Earth's air filters the light, the sun fuels the glow, and the moon reflects it back. And when our eyes catch it, when our minds attach wonder or prophecy or poetry, the spectacle is complete. Physics shows us the mechanism, yet perception completes the story. The eclipse is not simply a shadow. It is a conversation between matter, light, and mind, reminding us that we are participants in the universe we observe. Each blood moon arrives as a reminder that nothing is permanent. The bright, familiar face of the moon, so constant it seems eternal, slips into shadow, altered and unfamiliar. And yet, just as quietly, it returns. The cycle of light and darkness plays out above us, echoing the cycles of our own lives: birth, change, loss, renewal. From the lens of science, the explanation is simple: orbital mechanics, scattering, refraction. Numbers can tell us when the next eclipse will come. how long it will last, even the shade of red we are likely to see. But knowing does not erase the feeling. Beneath the red glow, we sense our smallness, our fragility, and the strange truth that we are part of these cycles, not separate from them. Here lies the contrast. Science gives us detachment, the ability to predict without fear. But experience delivers awe, that quiet astonishment that something so thoroughly explainable still feels transcendent. The blood moon is not only a celestial event, it is a mirror. It reflects not only the filtered light of our atmosphere, but also our own longing to understand, to find meaning in a universe vast enough to eclipse us all. The blood moon lingers in the sky, glowing like a lantern of memory. We began with its mystery, a silver sphere transformed into crimson, a spectacle that once inspired fear, prophecy, and reverence. Now we end with its clarity, a shadow cast, a refraction of light, a geometry written in the heavens. The how is no longer hidden. And yet, even with every calculation in hand, the experience refuses to shrink into mere numbers. The eclipse reminds us that shadows are not only physical, but symbolic. They are the dark intervals that give shape to light, the pauses that make cycles possible. Without Earth's shadow, there would be no blood moon. Without mystery, there would be no wonder. Here, science and awe meet. One explains the mechanism, the other sustains the meaning. We need both, the equations that tell us when to look, and the silence that takes hold when we finally lift our eyes. So the blood moon closes its arc not only in the sky, but within us. It is a mirror of our search, a reminder that in shadows we find questions, in light we find answers, and in their meeting we find ourselves.